Hello, everybody. At last, some things are getting back to something like normal again, aren't they? Have you been to the shops yet? What huge queues there are outside some of them, aren't there? I don't know about you, but I can't wait for the hairdressers to open again. Did last week's talk make you think? Did it surprise you to find out what Jesus said about who are the happiest people in the world? We call this bit of Jesus' teaching the Beatitudes. It's a strange word, isn't it? But it's what we call his sayings about those who are blessed or happy. And there are 8 of them. Last time we thought about the first 4. Let's just remind ourselves of what they were. The Beatitudes, Part 2. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. These first 4 Beatitudes show how we must come to God, how we should come humbly, knowing we have nothing to give him, not boasting in any goodness in us, but sad because we have sinned against him. We must be like the tax collector in the story we heard last time, humbly asking God to forgive us and wanting him to change us. This is how we become a Christian. When we come to God like this, he gladly welcomes us and promises us a place in heaven. It is the happiest thing in the world to know that God has received us. This is the beginning of real happiness. But in the next 4 Beatitudes, Jesus describes what a Christian should be like, how we should follow him, and it is a happy thing to be a follower of Jesus. So Jesus continued, Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. They are those who are kind and forgiving towards others, who have hearts of love and compassion and do good and help those who are in need. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. The pure in heart are those whose great desire is to please God in every way, in thought and word and deed. They don't want to do what is naughty or fill their minds with bad stuff. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God or children of God. These are people who love others and try to get on with them. They don't stir up trouble and quarrels, but control their tongues and try to strengthen relationships. That includes doing good even to those who hate them. Just like God, our Heavenly Father, who sends the rain and the sun not only on those who love him, but also on those who are unthankful and do evil. This is what living the Christian life is like. Doing these things doesn't make us Christians, but we do them because we have become Christians. And Jesus is telling us that it is a happy thing to be a Christian, rather than going our own way and living our lives without him. Let's see how Jesus himself set an example of showing mercy. One day they brought a woman to Jesus. They threw her into the midst and said, This woman was caught in the act of sinning. Now the law requires that she should be stoned to death, but what do you say? They were trying to catch Jesus out. They wanted to make him sound harsh so that others would stop listening to him. He ignored them and began writing on the ground. But they persisted, so eventually Jesus stood up and said, Let him who is without sin throw the first stone. Then he went back to writing on the ground. Each of the men knew in their hearts that they were sinners too, and they began to leave. Finally, there was just Jesus and the woman. And Jesus looked up. Where is everybody? He said. Has no one condemned you? No one, Lord, she said. But what would Jesus do? He had never sinned. He could have enforced the law and thrown the first stone. Would he do that? Perhaps she trembled inside. Then he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." He had compassion on her. How merciful he was! He was forgiving and kind, even to someone who didn't deserve it. Now we come to the last beatitude. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is the last of the Beatitudes and the strangest one of them all. It is saying how happy are those who are mistreated because they follow Jesus and try to live the good way he wants them to. Isn't it strange to be happy for being mistreated? In some countries, Christians are very badly treated. They may be beaten or put in prison or even killed. Even in this country, some people laugh at those who follow him, but they are in the way that leads to heaven. Therefore, those who follow Jesus are truly happy, even though they suffer. So, the truly happy person is the one who has been forgiven by God and who follows Jesus, even if that means suffering. They know that God loves them and that they have the promise of heaven, and that makes it all so worthwhile. Don't let the world make you think that Christianity is dull, or the happiest life is just chasing after earthly pleasures or making lots of money. As nice as those things might be in their own place, it is Jesus who gives the very best. Well, that's it for this week. See you next time. Bye.